Hello and welcome to Connecting Chats. Today we're going to be talking with Jessie Grimes, clarinetist and workshop leader. Really hope you enjoy and please don't forget to subscribe. Okay, we are live. Welcome to Connecting Chats, Jessie Grimes. Very nice having you here.
Thanks for having me. This is so nice.
I'm really happy we got to have you in Connecting Chats. I think you have so much to tell us about your experiences that I'm just very excited. A bit of the way we start Connecting Chats normally is just telling a little bit about where you're from and what's your background, and also if you can tell us a little bit of an overview picture of how you got into learning music. If it was in school, if you had some family members that played, what's the story, and what do you
Uh,
play?
okay, well, I play clarinet. They're all just sitting, a little family of them. There's one behind as well. Uh, that's what I play now. I grew up. I'm just surrounded by music. I don't know. I was listening to a podcast interview with Roisin Murphy. Do you know her? She was in Moloko. Um, and
Ah,
and and I,
I
another
know
another
about that.
Irish woman, and she was talking about the way she grew up, and it sounds really similar to me. That just you're surrounded by music; it's just everywhere. And I think I grew up from, I come from a musical family. My dad's very musical; always used to sing. As kids, there was always music everywhere. But early on, I started doing traditional Irish music. So I think when I was maybe 6 or 7, there was a competition between me, my brother, and my sister, who are younger than me, who could learn
Uh,
the first tune on the whistle. Of course, I had the advantage because I was the eldest, so I won a pound, or maybe 50p. I don't know. Um, and then maybe when I was about 9 or 10, I started doing a bit more. I'd learned piano, but apparently my piano teacher, she just lived 2 doors up from me. Amazing woman. I used to arrive and be like, Marion, I haven't practiced. I'm not going to lie to you. I met her on the street when I came home to Ireland. Oh God, ages ago now. But she said that always cracked her up. That even as a kid, I was like, you just know, you teachers know. So I'm not going to lie. So I wasn't a very dedicated piano player, but then I started. I wanted to learn the clarinet to be like Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons.
of
It's
course,
hilarious that
you're
these
the second person to say this in Connecting Chats.
but these decisions as like a little 9 or 10 year old, it turns out that's my entire life now is just
Yeah.
based on The Simpsons. Um, but I was too small. I went and did an audition at the Royal College, not the Royal College, the Royal Academy in Dublin, which is ironic because it's Ireland is a republic and nothing to do with the Queen or whatever.
Right.
But they kept the Royal because I think it sounds posh. So I
It does sound
auditioned at the
very
Academy.
posh
Makes
looking.
it sound fancy.
Official. Sounds
Yes,
official.
yes, yes, exactly. So I did an audition thing there, and they said I was too small to play the sax. I wouldn't be able to hold it. They were right. So they were like, "Here, try the clarinet for a while and see how you get on." And now, like 25 years later, here I am, still playing. Um,
Wow.
but I grew up at the same time doing Irish music. So then, I'm a fastidious and diligent diary keeper. I've written diaries for my entire life. So I have like these tomes. Eventually, I could release an autobiography
Yeah.
full of embarrassment. But I have these like things writing as a kid, like, oh, we got to bed really late last night, and it's like 5 a.m. because we've been in the pub playing music all night.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so it was a super musical like upbringing and childhood. It was there's a quote from my diary where I said, I think I'm maybe 13 or 14. Also before I realize I'm figuring out I'm gay, but it's like most people would write in their diary, I love Brad, but I love music. I genuinely was
Ah,
the most earnest little kid. Um, yeah, and that's what my life has turned out to be. Just full of
amazing.
music.
Was that Brad Pitt, by the way?
Oh, I don't know, it's just a random generic boy
No.
name, I think.
That's cool. So you did music at school or like like with a teacher, as well as having kind of learning tunes by ear in a circle of musicians and everything. So you
Yeah.
had both kind of experiences.
Yeah, and I joined bands as well. I was big into like that stuff as well. I taught myself guitar. So I did like those three different things, like formal, posh,
Yeah.
traditional Western classical training, And then I was learning by ear from like old men in pubs with like little tape recorders. And then I was in school
Amazing.
joining bands and writing songs and that sort of stuff. So it was very free. You know, I didn't kind of change channels till I was probably into university, when I finally was like, well, let's see if I can kind of specialize on one. And
Yeah.
that's maybe the only musical regret I have, is actually sort of specializing. And now I'm trying to broaden out again.
Yeah. So where did you go to study then?
I
And what?
was a very anxious kid. I had mental health problems. I had a big breakdown the year I was doing that decision where people do A levels.
Yeah.
And I think I made a decision out of fear instead of like self confidence. And I chose to stay in Dublin and do a degree. It's called a BMOZ, Bachelor of Music Education, in
Ah,
Trinity. So, which is sort of like the Irish Cambridge, but not as fancy. Um, uh, so it was this amazing degree, which was very challenging and full on. But I chose it because I was a bit too scared. I didn't think I was good enough to play only. And I was like, oh, if I fell and broke my face, then maybe I wouldn't be able to have a career. So I'll do this sort of safe thing. And my mom was a teacher. So the degree was in order to, you were qualified by the end to, you had like a PGCE kind of a teaching qualification
nice.
and a diploma to teach your instrument. But I also studied history, so technically I'm qualified to teach music and history in a secondary school. But I really hated it. I found it really hard,
Oh,
and we were really young. Like I was 18, and I was put in to teach secondary school. You know, I was too young to do that. We had teaching placements every year. But the real bonus of it was it was sort of joined with the Academy of Music in Dublin. So I kept my clarinet teacher, and
amazing.
like the final year I had to do a concerto and two recitals and things. So it was still very, I focused. I did like a sort of an American style major in performance. So that didn't exist really anywhere else. I chose a specialism. And then again, still not enough confidence. I took a year out because I didn't think I would get in anywhere. I decided I wanted to try the clarinet and see how far I could go with it. Took a year out and did a diploma in Dublin, and then auditioned. I auditioned for every conservatoire in the UK because I didn't think I'd get in anywhere. And then it turns out I did, and it was fine. So I went to the Royal College. Again, not really knowing. I wasn't fully informed about who the teachers were or anything, but I picked it. I think I got a scholarship, and I was just like, cool, I'll go there. It looks fancy.
Yeah.
And I did 2 years of a master's there, and I haven't. That's when the kind of community music stuff started. I'm in a trio, 10 years strong, the Jack Ann Trio, and we auditioned for Live Music Now, who at the time were very much a kind of a. They've changed in how their format is. At the time, it was like you go in, you do one concert in a care home or in an SEN school. But over the 10 years I've been involved with them as well, it's changed, and now you do kind of residencies and longer
Yeah.
projects, a bit more creative stuff. But I was through starting that, and I joined the RCM has like a Sparks program for their outreach stuff. So I did things there, and I realized it finally everything clicked into place. Like that's why I did that weird degree.
Yeah.
You know, I could finally add the thing that I want to do about performing and music with this sort of formal qualification that at the time I didn't think got me anywhere. And I don't think it still was. Don't think I needed it. Maybe the experience through
Well,
like
the music
teaching practice.
education qualification. Yeah.
Yeah, the degree.
Yeah.
I don't think I needed that to do workshops, but maybe it also gave me confidence and experience having stood
Yeah.
up in front of classes and preparing lesson plans and that sort of stuff. And that's kind of been it then. Like I've allowed my career to sort of unfold after that, and it's taken a long time to sit with giving myself kind of permission to, on the one hand, have like an orchestral career and do freelance orchestral stuff, play chamber music, teach, and also do the workshop leading stuff. It took a long time for me to be like, it's okay to do all of these things. It's not,
Yeah.
I always, if I was being down on myself, I'd be like, well, it's because you're not quite good enough at one of
Yeah.
them that
Yeah.
you
This
can't
is something
stick
that
with
we
it.
talk a lot in here as well, which is
Yeah.
it's amazing, isn't it? How we yeah, like the options are there, but then like let's call the system that makes us think that if you choose one is because you're not good in the other one, and vice versa. And
Mm.
it's crazy. And you're the perfect example of like, oh no, you can be brilliant at all of them. You just need
Yeah, and
time.
also
You just need the
it.
time.
Yeah, you need a time. You need the sort of. energy, yeah, the energy as well to keep
The energy,
going.
yeah,
Um, but also I think it's the future for us as musicians. I don't
yes,
think it's practical to not have a career like mine now, a multifaceted sort of. It makes you resilient. So when the pandemic hit, I had friends who and absolutely it's not a bad thing, but I had friends who didn't really enjoy teaching and were like, yes, I've made it. I've finally given up all my teaching and now all I do is play on the West End or whatever. And that's an incredible thing to do. And
yeah,
it's an amazing achievement to be able to work up to that level. But then the pandemic hit and they were absolutely stuck.
yeah,
Um, Whereas, the performing side of things fell off. The traditional performing side of things where you had to wait for the phone to ring, that didn't happen anymore. So I had to be a bit more creative in creating performance opportunities. But having all of these different fingers in different pies meant
yeah.
I was still teaching and I was still doing some workshop things. And as things changed to go online, I managed to be busier maybe than a lot of my kind of solely performing mates.
Yeah.
So I now feel quite well placed as a musician. I feel like yeah, resilient is such a buzzword, but it feels like that. Like there can be a while where there's silence and not very many workshops or not very many gigs or, or the teaching goes quiet in the holidays. It means hopefully there's still enough to
Get all
bounce
the stuff.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's very, very interesting to see like where this career is taking us, right? And how it's developing, especially the last year. Like it's gone bonkers. It's like
Yeah.
doing gigs online, long workshops online, not meeting people, but still working with people. It's all being very crazy. Do you have like and once you started doing things with live music now, then I'm assuming that you did lots of different kind of scenarios and context and workshops in completely different with different people and different contexts and everything. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of different projects, like highlights of things that you do and kind of your main practices?
Yeah. So early days, I think LMN are good at like sort of training up people who have not done it before. So we started in care homes doing little projects there. And I don't know whether it was me really wanting it and spotting it or what happened. But anyway, I got asked to do a year-long residency in an SEN school. And that was a real kind of game changer for me. Before I'd done these, I jokingly called them like hit and run concerts where you just turn up at a care home or an SEN school, do a gig, happy clappy, hooray, yay, well done, bye everyone. And it wouldn't really be a lasting impact or any sort of handing over of any legacy or skills or anything. It was just like entertaining almost. So then I did this year, as LMN shifted to doing more sort of residential and longer projects, I was a guinea pig in them doing that. And I was one of the first people I did like a year-long residency as a music specialist in an SEN school. So I'd go every week, once a week, and I'd have the same class every week. So I got to, do sort of case studies on different students and
Wow,
see
that's
what worked. And I was really early on in my career.
And shake and shake and stop. Done. And now let's shake some more.
I was parallel at the same time doing early years workshops and things. And that, again, I kind of fell into that through, I don't know how I did that. I was teaching in a school in Brixton they're now called Music Masters. They used to be called London Music Masters.
yeah.
And my boss there also did early years, like an early years, just mums and tots kind of traditional circle time thing, and had guest musicians come in. So I used to go and I loved it. So then I used to go a lot. And through doing that, got into doing and running my own toddler workshops and things. And I sort of, clicked into place through the training about doing this residency, that working in SEN and working in early years had so many similarities in terms of the young people you're working with in an SEN school might cognitively be at a 2 or 3 year old level, though their age might be 15 or whatever. So that using, not singing, of course, not singing like Wheels on the Bus to a 15-year-old, but using the same musical kind of nuggets as ways into engaging and helping speech and movement and all that sort of stuff. It felt like there were that kind of clicked into place for me, like, this is the way it works, and this is the way I can really connect with kids. And maybe also because I'm a big kid as well, I'm a real kind of a silly person, and I love playing games, that living in and working in that area with people whose brains are still developing, and they're still just, it's all about play and fun. That really kind of appeals to me, to just being a bit silly and using silliness and fun and a sort of a lighthearted approach to things, to then you can have incredible, moving and beautiful experiences, but it's all based in kind of play and fun. So yeah, that's, I kind of ended up specializing in special needs stuff, and I don't really know how this career works. Is it like people hear about you or what? Like, I didn't do a lot of like applying, dear sir, madam, please find and close my CV. It's not really like that.
A cover letter.
Yeah. It was often just people, maybe somebody else not being able to do the work and saying, try this person. So anyway, now, through long story short, and 10 years later, I have a lovely relationship with particularly Symphonia Viva, who are a Derby-based Midlands orchestra who do, I think, some of the best SEN projects in the country. Or world maybe. They're amazing. So I do a sensory, we call it a sensory room tour, but it's working in sensory rooms in SEN schools using play, free play, and usually 1-to-1. So we get like one student for half an hour, and me and another musician who's incredibly talented, Deirdre Benchik, and we work together. And that's gorgeous, because that's really like, that feels like the real kernel of the thing I love most about SEN, is and getting to be one-on-one, which often with funding doesn't happen very much. Today in Derby Theatre is the final culmination of this gigantic project where we have taken 2 primary schools, secondary school and a college on a journey discussing the whole topic of energy, framing it in a musical context and telling a big story, which has ended up in this amazing musical experience today. I think it's really empowering for the young people to begin this whole journey just sat in their school hall with no music, with nothing but just a conversation about ideas based on some Inspiration Day stuff that we did, loosely talking about the topic, and then them seeing their own journey of coming up with their ideas and their words and having really strong opinions about harmony and how high or low they want to sing, and finally then coming today and sitting alongside a professional orchestra which gives them this electric kind of energy and inspiration. So I do that, and then also through Viva, through kind of bigger orchestra things, and now I've started working with the RPO, doing kind of working with their Brent project. They have a big Brent school orchestra project thing, so do stuff with them. And recently enough, well, when I say recently, like before the pandemic, started working with CLS, who are City of London Symphonia, and they do an amazing, so it's a sort of a left field for me and a new thing, where we work in psychiatric hospital schools with students who are in residential care there, doing projects to kind of support confidence and facilitate creative expression and things at a very vulnerable and difficult time in their lives. So that's also really beautiful and amazing. So this, through starting with SEN, and maybe also having the background of maybe school stuff that gives me confidence to do like class workshops and stuff, I've ended up doing quite a lot of different things. But yeah, the SEN stuff is maybe because it's the first thing I did, is the thing I love most.
And do you have like, can you give us an idea of how, like what are the main focus of the workshops you do with SEN, like in terms of, like, is it creativity, is it playing instrument, Is it just a group thing, or is it all together? Is it singing? What kind of things do you do in terms of development of the
I
group?
think the first thing I always want to do is get to know who the students are. I firmly think that whatever creative workshop thing I'm doing, it needs to be student led or person centered or whatever. That I want to get to know them, like whatever I'm doing, whether it's a project, an elders project where I'm going into a care home. One of the first things I'll do is ask people about, themselves, and maybe not with SEN kids, but like a thing I love to do is say, can you bring in an object that's really special to you, something beautiful and that you have at home, or something that's important to you, and we put them all on a table and everyone will just share and talk about the thing, so you say, what Fernando, what do you think looks interesting on the table? And you pick up, a postcard, and we say, whose is this? And they tell a story, and trying to find out about people's how music relates to them. So in a school setting, maybe it's about what music have we done before? What do you enjoy? And then I want to go away and build a project based on that. Or there could be a theme they're also doing in school. Like we did an online one recently where the whole school was using the story of the phoenix and rising from the ashes and stuff. So different classes, we did different kind of songs based on that. I like making up stuff. I like a bit of being creative, and I like, in special schools, I'm moving further and further away from like a project ending up with a performance. Because for some students, they might not know or be aware they're on a stage or what a performance is, and they can just pick up on the stress and
Yes, and people looking at them and
energy. Yeah. So I'm moving much more towards a model of like having a sharing, where you might, invite another class, or you might just do something small with each other. And the point of it is not to perform, but to share what we've done together. So it really varies. Yeah, it could be writing a song, it could be making music up, or it could be just exploring instruments. Every project I do tends to be kind of really different. And it's funny, you'll know this as well, when you're asked to start a thing, it's like you have a blank page.
Yeah.
And all I want is someone to say, do it about trees. And you're like, oh, fine. Trees, great. Well, we could do this song and this.
The first day panic, right? It's like, okay, I'm here now. Let's do this.
And I love that as well, though. You rock up to a workshop and you've no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like maybe for like a big primary school project, the things I do for in Derby for Aviva, that we would end up like in a big theatre with a whole orchestra singing these kids' songs. And you turn up on day one and we've no idea what the song is going to be. I've no idea who the kids are. But that's the most exciting thing, because something amazing is going to happen at the end, but I've no idea what it is yet.
Yeah. You're making me emotional just to think about that.
Yeah,
and
remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And how we live with that kind of. We need to be careful to not become I didn't sleep last night because of this. You need to train almost, right, to get used to that feeling of, tomorrow I have to work and I have no idea what I'm gonna get, what the group look like, what the music looks like, what instruments I'm gonna have in the room.
Yeah, and that's the thing about having like different sort of different like you carry around like a bag of a toolkit in your head of things that in a certain scenario might work, like this song will work here, or we'll try this. And I always have fallback like games or things that I might do. It's been so long since I've done projects like that now. I've got a folder where I write them all down. So when it comes to
you're good. I literally I develop I have somewhere in me, and then I change a little bit here, change a little bit there, and try to to remember.
I think because I'm not a full-time workshopper, that I might do a month of an opera somewhere. And then come back. I just forget.
Yeah,
so I have to write them down.
It's a muscle, isn't it? You need to get. It's a muscle. You need to exercise it. Just very quickly, maybe if we could like have a little another overview of things you've been doing lately. Like I know you've been doing stuff in your garden and Play Along Symphony. They all have like amazing names. I just want to know how they work.
Right. Well, I'll do the jam first.
Yeah.
This time last year, things were shutting down, and I was like, "Well, what do I want to do?" And it took a very long time. It took maybe 3 or 4 months for me to get my head around, because you know this. Maybe it's just me. I've always done creative projects under someone else's name, whether it's an
Yeah.
orchestra or a band or something else. I've never had anything with my own name on it that came exactly just from me. So it took a long time for me to build up the sort of confidence. But anyway, I've ended up doing a series of 8 concerts, like chamber music concerts from my garden. I'm a very passionate vegetable gardener, and I have a tiny little patch in is my South London garden. But I invited different chamber musician and friends. I live in quite a musical area, so yeah, we did this whole series where we would play silly games, and I had a brass quintet, and in the middle they had to dig up potatoes, and had tomato juggling and stuff, and it brought all of the neighbors together. Everybody was like
Uh,
around, and we streamed. We had like some of the episodes have like 10,000 views on Facebook.
really?
Insane. So I'm
That's
planning a season 2. I'm just in the middle of Arts Council applications. Ugh. Um, they are not fun. But
no.
that was really joyful, because that meant it also kept me performing throughout, when there were no other
Yeah.
gigs, and it meant I could give my friends some paid work, which was really nice. And then every Friday, I'm going to go off and do that shortly. I run a
Amazing.
thing called Play Along Symphony. A friend of mine started it, and he did about 10 of them and then went and had a baby. So he was like, "Can you do this?" So now we're on number 36, I think.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've people, it started off just with our friends. We would just play it
Okay.
together. But now we've got people from all over the world are joining. Um, and like we log in at like 1:45, and we pick a symphony. We do a poll. We vote on the symphony, and I choose a good recording, often with applause at the end, because that feels good. And we come on Zoom together, and we play. We it's everyone's on mute, and we play along, and we have this experience, because I don't know anybody who sits through and listens to a whole symphony ever. If you're at home, nobody has a focus
Oh, at
anymore.
home, yeah, I see.
Yeah, we don't do it. So this means we are collectively listening to it, but we're also playing, and it just keeps me connected to the orchestral thing that's not going to open up again for a long time. So that's been
That's
really
funny
joyous and
thing.
beautiful thing to do as
So,
well.
so the sound, the total sound is actually like a famous orchestra playing somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I'm playing with the LSO. This week we're playing with the Concertgebouw Orchestra.
Amazing. If
Great.
you read that on your profile like quickly, it's like, oh, every week she's with someone else. Like, it's amazing. I played with
I've got
Elvis
noise
Presley
cancelling
last week.
headphones on.
Yeah.
I have noise cancelling headphones on, so I cannot hear my own self. Just this incredible orchestra playing. It's great.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Good. Okay, so this is where we get to our feel free moment in our connecting chats. And feel free moment is a silly thing I made up, which is, I think you're gonna like this. It's a moment where you can forget I'm here and complain about something bad that happened, or compliment a project you saw, tell us about an inspiring series or film or a CD or anything you like to say. Anything. Tips for young workshop leaders, a piece you're practicing, a name of a dog, anything. Just feel free. How do you create? How do you grow potatoes in your garden? You can do whatever you want.
Well, okay, number one, it's end of February. It's time to start planting your seeds for your vegetable garden. But I seeing your lovely smiley face, you're making me realize or remember. Recently, I do a project called London Rhymes, and we write songs for toddlers. It's a sort of an anti-Wheels on the Bus. No more bad toddler songs. So we write them ourselves.
An anarchist, and it's almost an
Yeah,
anarchist
yeah,
project.
yeah. And we do kind of high end production of the recording. So it's really quite serious music, but we're talking about it's nappy time, or like,
Yeah.
is it a poo or a wee? But we've decided, kids, particularly that young, under fives, there's just too much screen time. So we decided to do a podcast. So we release a podcast weekly that's like a little workshop. So it's called Rhymes, and it's on, your whatever podcast. I'm not doing a plug for this, because recently I did an episode. So the woman Rosie Adedrin runs it every week, and I'm just part of the team. And she said, okay, we're going to do another one on based around the theme of animals. And immediately, for some reason, you popped into my head, because the last workshop we did, you sang Baby Beluga, and I loved it so much. And I've never heard, I don't know Raffi's stuff. So I was just like, I'm going to do my whole thing based around Baby Beluga. And I went,
Uh,
found it, learnt it. I multi-tracked it. There's 5 different clarinets playing Baby Beluga. I'm singing ukulele. And it was just such a joyful little project to record it. And it's all because of you. So my top tip
Amazing.
to young workshoppers is when you go and do stuff with other people,
Yeah.
record their stuff. Remember it. Because I took it, I was like, can you sing that again? And I recorded it.
Oh, I can remember that. That's cool.
Yeah. Take notes, like steal stuff from everyone because everyone shares all the time. And it's a beautiful
Yes.
like community that we're in is share your stuff and write down things that everybody else does because we can all then help each other. But so you in 2000, whenever it was, 19, last time we saw each other,
19, yeah.
you gave me that song and I've just finished doing it. Like it's just come out this week on the podcast.
Oh, that's amazing. And I have to say, like, this is something I've been like I talk to people about this because when you do like a CPDs or developing things, like some people think, or maybe they do, but there's a chat behind the scenes that is like, oh, this is just people stealing other people's tools and everything. And I always find that like so weird, that energy of like, oh, I'm not showing my best because they might. It's like, no. That's not the point, right? We're here you didn't learn anything from scratch, right? You learned from someone else. Like you didn't come up one day with all your brilliant ideas and rhythms and riffs and
But everybody, like you and I, if we were given the same content, we would run it in an entirely different workshop.
Exactly.
So just because we're both doing Gimme One, that game, just because we're both going to put Gimme One into a workshop, or don't clap this one back, or whatever it's going to be, we're all going to do something completely different, and it's going to be a different energy and a totally different thing. So but that's the thing I love most about this community, is that we're all sharing things and open to give each other work and ideas, because like at the end of the day it's about like making music accessible for everybody. So we have to make it accessible
so we're
for
part
each
of
other.
everybody, right? We're part of everybody.
Exactly.
Oh, Jessie, that's amazing. Thank you so much for this. Like you just,
Thanks.
this is my highlight of the day already, and I'm sure it's anyone's watching this is gonna feel the same thing. You're just brilliant to talk to, and I'm very happy you came and accepted our invitation. And I hope I will see you soon with the vaccine under my skin.
Fingers crossed. And if anyone who's starting out has any questions, go to my website, jessiegrimes.com, and send me a message. Happy to share or give ideas. Come and join the play along.
Yeah.
Go and watch the garden jam. It's very silly.
I'm gonna do that. I saw just the invitations now. I never watched the whole thing. Anyway, Jessie, thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye, guys.
Bye.